Hi, my name is Steph Henderson. I've been asked to give this presentation at Claremont Public School to inform fellow teachers about students with EALD or English as a Second Language or Dialect. In this presentation, we will cover the following areas: introduction, what makes an EALD learner, difficulties, examples, how do children learn their first language, how do children learn their second language, the socio-linguistic profile, implications of this knowledge for curriculum, and implications for teaching. It is no secret that it can be difficult to cater for the differences in skill sets of the students in our classroom. Scaffolding our curriculum to support and benefit every student is essential when teaching a classroom full of students with different learning needs. The support needed for those students who come to school with English as their second language can be difficult to provide. However, being open to knowledge and resources that may be beneficial to their learning process could create a positive pathway to academic growth. In this presentation, we will explore the different characteristics of students with EALD and how we can implement strategies to assist and support their learning in the classroom. As stated in the Australian curriculum, EALD, or English as a Second Language Dialect, refers to the students who require support due to English being their secondary language. There are approximately 1 in 4 students in Australia that are EALD learners. These students may come from a diverse background ranging from refugees, international students, and those born outside of Australia. As with students who learn English as their first language, there are many ranges of knowledge and proficiencies in the spectrum. There are always going to be challenges with translating a language. There are clear differences between languages based on structure, expressions, multiple meaning words, sarcasm, and many other factors to consider. As an adult, it is sometimes hard to decipher differences in language. To a child, it is even more difficult to distinguish the changes in language structure. For example, indirect instructions in the classroom like, "Would you like to begin reading now?" can be misunderstood by EALD students, as it is not a literal instruction, it is implied. This is why it is important to know how to communicate in the most productive way possible. Here is an example of a written text from a student with EALD. I'll just give you a second to read over it. So this recount writing session shows a student with EALD in grade 1. The student displays compact sentences and correct grammar, but when analysing the words that were misspelt in the second paragraph, it is clear that the student used phonological prior knowledge to sound out the words. This informs the teacher that this particular student needs attention on topic-specific vocabulary, but it is also apparent that the student has experience with high-frequency words like was, to, on, and the, put, etc. This is just an example of written language and how translation can play a factor into spelling and sentence structure. Babies begin using sounds like crying to get attention or communicate to others. At around 9 months old, they start using sounds more deliberately and begin to understand the purpose of language in our world. Beginning to learn expression and how to achieve goals naturally develops at this young age. As the child grows, so does their language development. By around 16 months, the child begins to move on from just sounds and proto-language into mother tongue. This is the language used in the environment that the child is brought up within. They learn to use language for 2 key functions: language for reflecting on the world and language for acting upon the world. From there, they develop their language and vocabulary as they are consumed and exposed in a language-rich environment such as home or school. It is important to acknowledge that all EALD students come from a different background that shapes their learning and prior knowledge around the English language. Dr. Jim Cummins recognises that there are 3 different stages of understanding a language proficiency. The first stage is conversational fluency, which involves a capability to have face-to-face conversations. While native English speakers learn this within the first 2 years of their lives, EALD students develop conversational fluency within 1 to 2 years of intensive exposure to the English language. The second stage is discrete language skills, which involves knowledge around phonology, literacy, and grammar achieved through instruction or language-rich environments like school or home. The third stage is academic language proficiency. This aspect involves knowledge around less frequent language and displays decoding skills with increasingly difficult written text. This stage requires 5 years minimum exposure to English language at an academic level. Here is the sociolinguistic profile of our school. So the grade level we are focusing on is kindergarten. Our geographical location is the inner city Melbourne, Victoria. Being a multicultural metropolitan city, there are many EALD learners from a diverse range of cultures here. The number of students in our school is 650. The students that speak a language other than English at home is 25%. Those languages spoken at home are Cambodian, Tagalog, Vietnamese, and Chinese or Mandarin. The students that are receiving funding for EALD is 45, so approximately 7%. Students designated for EALD specialist programs is 40 students, and we have 2 specialist qualified teachers, 1 full-time and 1 part-time. The Victorian curriculum provides teachers with a curriculum specifically designed for students with English as an additional language. This caters for a range of learners and is designed to provide resources and a guideline for support and development. In order for an EALD specific curriculum to be effective, we need to provide a support system of teachers that is aware of and dedicated to the individual needs of these students. As we are blessed with 2 qualified specialist teachers for students with EALD, the students will benefit hugely with the amount of time within these teachers' vicinities. Considering how children learn their first and second language, it is important to approach this process with patience. Especially as we are teaching a kindergarten class, it will be a key aspect of our teaching strategies. Incorporating the curriculum into play-based learning in the classroom can be a beneficial learning process. Children at this age already use play as a form of expression and communication. We can harness this engagement and reformulate language development through dramatic play. Often children will mirror what they see in real life when in dramatic play environments. This enables students to use their prior knowledge around the language they already know and allows the teacher to build a background of language knowledge. Scaffolding a student's learning process is another key aspect for students with EALD learning needs. Here is an example if you'd like to read over this. This conversation shows the different levels of language proficiency in a child of 14 months. The father and mother scaffold the conversation and provide questions that require more information from the child. As a result, the child provides a richer description of the event and has collaborated with the help of the facilitators.